Welcome to Mayfield Place. A typical street in the Burbs.
Morning, Walter!
Where nothing much ever happened.
Walter's dog just took a dump on Rumsfield's lawn again.
Until the Klopeks moved in.
Klopex?
Klopex. Klopek. No one goes in, no one comes out.
Neighbors from hell.
It was a nice place to live.
He said he thinks the Klopeks are evil incarnate.
Well, you're much too smart to fall for that, aren't you, honey?
But now,
Carol!
you wouldn't want to visit there.
Ray.
This is Walter.
The Burbs.
I'm going over the fence, and I'm not coming back till I find a dead body.
Ray, do you want him to take your family, kidnap them, tear their livers out, and make some kind of satanic pate? We found Walter!
We got a real problem.
I hit the gas line, I'd run!
God, I love this street.
Tom Hanks.
I think we are overreacting.
No!
The Burbs. It's one hell of a neighborhood.
Hey, honey, I think we should move.
The Burbs. I could never rehearse
Burbs.
that. I'd always be talking when they'd want it quiet.
Wait, what?
I'd always be talking. If I worked on a set, I'd be the guy who, like, right before the clap, you know, when they're like quiet on set, I'd be like, The Burbs, scene 8.
Yeah, people get so like crazy on set. They're like, quiet, you can't see anything. You like move your foot and they're like, they just glare at you. Cool. Let's get into it. Let's talk about The Burbs.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. I picked this one. This is one that I grew up with. This is something that, I don't know, it's very nostalgic for me. And I probably could quote the entire movie. Watch this like every night before going to bed. My dad would just throw it on. And yeah, it's still great. I could watch it still to this day over and over again.
A great Rocky Brunett classic.
Rocky Brunett. And you guys have not seen this before. So I'm really curious to hear what you thought about it.
Yeah,
You want to get into it?
I do. Who's going for? Jesse has to go first. He always goes first.
So I'd be like, well, I always have to go first. I liked it. Going into this, I thought it was going to be even darker because I thought it was a dark comedy and Joe picked it. But in the same time, it's Tom Hanks. So I was like, you know, I don't know where this is going to land. Also, this is like younger than I think of Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my Tom Hanks, I feel like, obviously he's not 89, 5 years before I was born, but is like America's dad. But this Tom Hanks is so cool. Right. I'm like, oh, he was just cool. But of course, he was just cool before this.
Well, that's funny you say that because I was reading up on it and apparently this was his first role as a dad in a movie. And which made him hesitant to take the role, apparently, because he didn't want to be kind of typecast as a dad after this movie. I read it and I was like, oh, look at that.
But yeah, I didn't even like, it's funny because I didn't even think of him as a dad in this.
No.
Like now you say that and I'm like, oh, right, that kid who, has that kid been in other stuff? He seemed so familiar and so great.
Not much. He was in, I don't know.
He looks like that generic kid from that time period, like from all those shows.
Also, originally, he wasn't going to have a kid in this. It was just going to be him and Carrie Fisher. So I guess
Their kid like kind of disappeared.
he doesn't really play a role at all. Like
That's why I forgot he was even a dad.
But so Jesse, what did you what are some of your thoughts? Like, what was your final conclusion?
It was strange. I do, even though I hadn't seen this, I feel like there was kind of a nostalgic, like, I just love that like time period. The clothes were horrible. I do also love, there's something about this setting being like a neighborhood, like a cul-de-sac that I love. Like, I don't know why, but I love that whole idea of like your cul-de-sac is your actual community that you like. They're your friends. You're like, move into a house and you're like, this is my circle now. Like,
no, it's not wrong.
Intended, but,
I mean, you guys both grew up in a cul-de-sac, so
this is true.
It's the same cul-de-sac.
I don't know if I don't think I'd wish our cul-de-sac was even closer, but it's like, I feel like what our cul-de-sac was probably like most, where it's like everyone knew each other. We had our once a year street party, but like it wasn't, I mean, at least my family wasn't like going out to the front lawn being like, hey neighbors, hey, like,
Right.
Yeah. I feel like that neighborhood felt a lot more condensed. I don't know how realistic that is, but you could just like look out through your, window and see everything that's going on in the neighborhood.
the neighbor just like walks into your house for breakfast.
Yeah.
They're just like,
This made me want one of those neighborhoods growing up. I was like, I really wanted some drama going on. I was always like, after I watched this movie a bunch as a kid, I was like, I'd always be outside waiting for like something to happen that I could like investigate. Or
you wanted to be Corey Feldman's character.
I did want to be Corey Feldman. Speaking of that, he is so funny in this movie.
I know. I found this movie hilarious. Just like I also just related to it on a very real level, just with everything that's gone on the past year. Because we got a big front window in our living room, and a lot of times when I'm down there, I'll just sit like I got 2 other dogs, and it's usually just me and the dogs. So we'll just sit there and like look out the window and just waiting for something to happen. So I was like, oh my God, I relate to this on a very real level. But then like all these like, crazy things happen. And there's so many good one-liners in this movie. Just so good. Also, one of my favorite things in movies that anytime I see it, I crack up is whenever somebody falls off a roof.
Yes. I was about to say that.
It cracks me up. I don't know why, especially this one, because he had a gun.
Well, do you know what? That was one of my favorite parts is when Corey Feldman's like, yo, Rumsfeld, and he just sweats.
Yo, Rumsfeld!
That gets me every time I watch it. I think it's how he falls. It's just so funny.
It's very relatable. Like I actually feel like I am Rumsfeld.
Joe, again, we talk about this every episode. Halloween costumes.
Oh, so good. It'd be so good.
maybe we release our own Halloween costumes. Better just rip off copyright. We'll get in legal trouble, but like
on set, on screen, on costume.
On costumes.
Yeah. I think my favorite one-liner in this was it was like, take me to the hospital. I've been blown up, or something like that.
I've been blown up! Take me to the hospital! Take me to the hospital, I'm sick.
I read that he improvised that scene.
Oh, it was so good.
Ooh.
Genius of Tom Hanks right there.
Yeah. Also, Carrie Fisher was great in this.
Love Carrie
very,
Fisher.
very good.
Very good dynamic.
Another very good casting in the movies we picked.
I really want to look that kid up now.
I'm gonna look it up. I had it up earlier and I just completely forgot.
Because he's one of those kids again. I'm like, I don't know. So good. I do the neighbor though, Art, yeah. Talking about the clothes too. I thought he was in his boxers the first, when he showed up for breakfast. And I do love talking about kind of like one-liners, although this was just physical comedy, but like when he like ate all the breakfast and then he goes to the fridge, and just starts pulling stuff out, and he pulls out like a whole pineapple and then like a tin with some foil over it, like a bread tin, and just carries it. And I'm like, he just pulled an entire pineapple out of their fridge.
Well, something also, what I noticed when he's doing that scene there, when Carrie Fisher brings over, food or something, and she calls Vince, it's really subtle. She's like, the dog. She's like, come here, Vince. And she has a bowl of dog food, and he sticks his hand in and eats it. And he's like that. He eats the dog food, which I didn't notice until, a couple times, watching it. But I was like, that's just so subtle, and I love it. And Jesse, the kid, his name is Corey Danziger. He was in 16 movies, or is, I guess. He's known for this one and Beethoven.
Oh.
So I don't know. But he's a friend in Beethoven. He's not even like the main character.
I don't really remember Beethoven. All I remember is we got it to watch once. And like the VHS, we got Beethoven. And you were either over at the house, or I think you already were over, and I was like, you want to stay? We're going to watch Beethoven. And you thought our family was about to watch like a documentary on the conductor, Beethoven. So you were like, nah, I think I gotta go home. And you just like left and biked home, which you like never did. And then later you were like, oh, I didn't want to watch this composer movie.
Oh, now I would love that. I would love to watch that now.
Now you would. My favorite scene was when they were in the neighbor's house and he brought out food. Well, one, they brought him brownies and then they didn't bring out the brownies, but he brought out a bowl of pretzels and a can of sardines. And he's like like moving around and they just take one pretzel. Just the whole part of Tom Hanks taking a pretzel and then like a sardine and laying it on top and biting into it, and just it's dragged out like the perfect amount of time, and then even after when he's like burping, like
right.
I think that was by far my favorite. That was my favorite scene.
That was going to be my vote for the ratings unit of measurement is sardines.
We'll definitely do that. I love Joe Dante, the director. He did like Gremlins and Small Soldiers and a bunch of other stuff. But this is like, I just love the he does a lot of movie references. When Ray and Art are walking up to the house like the first time, and they play that music where they zoom in on the eyes. That's from a film called Once Upon a Time in the West.
Keep your loving brother happy.
And I didn't know that. And then I went to, at film school, we watched that movie. And I was like, oh, wait, this isn't the Burbs. This makes sense.
They reference the Burbs.
Exactly. But
I do love that they fall through the porch all the time.
Sorry about your goddamn brownies.
I thought about it kind of a lot. Well, like the first time, when he's like, I'm not paying for this. And then the guy was like, paying for this? I'm going to sue him. Like,
right.
I do love that was a recurring thing, though. I think kind of along the lines of like falling off a roof, falling through a porch also.
The slapstick humor, man.
Yeah.
It's the best. Joe, you're going to love this. The writer, her name, he or she, Dana Olson. I don't know. There's no photo on IMDb. So also wrote George of the Jungle.
Yes. I love it. That's one of my favorite movies.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
Talking monkeys. It's the best.
Is this the perfect transition for next week's pick of George of the Jungle? Or?
I wish. I don't. That's not the pick, but
okay, we'll keep going.
That's funny. Yeah. I just thought you'd like that, but
yeah, that's awesome.
Also, so that dream sequence used to scare me so bad when the Texas Chainsaw. When I was a kid, I was like, this came out in 80, whatever. 80s.
Where he was on the grill.
89.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I watched my dad show this to me when I was like probably 5 or something.
Was your childhood just this and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
And
like alternating nights?
And a film called Critters 2.
Critters 2. Sounds super not scary.
Love it.
Basically, though, this is my childhood. I was like reading about locations too. And unfortunately, this is a set all at Universal Studios. I wish it was a real street. That'd be super cool. But they, this street and the houses were reused for, it was used in dozens of things. Like Corey Feldman's house is the Munsters house, apparently, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's just all studio. And I think you can go, I think some of it's still up, like obviously not how it was, but you can definitely tour it. like mystery men.
I feel like there needs to be like housing developments that are mirrored after movies. Like there should be somebody who like builds a cul-de-sac for people to live in that is based on the Burbs. That would be kind of cool.
That would be really cool, actually.
Who would live in the rundown house though? That would be my question. I would maybe live in, I don't want to live in the basement with the furnace. that I think that was maybe one of my other favorite one-liners is when he's just like, he's digging there like, we hit something. And it's like, we hit the gas line.
That would be you for sure.
We're going to have to edit this part out because that's a great idea. So we're going to have to do it. So we'll just... I think my favorite like part and just the character, I love Corey Feldman's and his friends. They're just so funny. Yo, the pizza dude.
Yeah, it's so good.
This guy has like the big gloves on too. Always.
Yo, Mrs. Rumsfeld, no tan lines this morning. I love it.
Oh yeah, there's like this kid's a horn dog or whatever he said.
He said that kid's next door is a meatball.
A meatball. That's right. I like this even better.
I noticed too, like with talking about the houses and rundown one, like I feel like you have something about movies, and wasn't expecting in this one with like movies with like iconic creepy houses. Like the first shot of that entire house kind of reminded me of the like Bates Motel house, or like these other just like where it's like a storm and this really like iconic silhouette of the house.
Yep.
That's when I thought it was going to go even darker once I saw that in the movie. I was like, Joe loves these iconic house silhouettes.
I do. I really
be a cool tattoo for you. The Burbs house.
Yeah, the Burbs house. That would be good. I did read that the dog Queenie is the same dog in Silence of the Lambs.
No way. What?
Wow.
Dog actor.
Great cast, like we said.
Great cast.
Also this might be a dumb question. Do they have like dog casting agencies?
Yeah. There's literally actor dogs.
That's
like,
amazing.
Trained actor dogs. Yeah.
I got to get involved in that.
Yeah. But also, what I loved about it, when Ray, after the nightmare scene, when Ray wakes up and he's watching Mr. Rogers and he plays Mr. Rogers.
That's true.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, right.
He literally becomes Mr. Rogers.
Full circle. Full circle.
Maybe it's the same character. He just developed. He like changed into Mr. Rogers. The guy in the movie he's not portraying Mr. Rogers. He's portraying a guy who loves Mr. Rogers.
Are you telling us that Tom Hanks might have murdered Mr. Rogers to become him? Is this breaking news?
The Burbs too.
Way real.
And that would be a very 2020 story.
Oh my god,
yeah, that's true.
We're like that comes out and we're like, I should have seen it coming. I guess
Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is so good.
I know.
The best.
Also, the cameo king is in this. Dick Miller. He's the garbage man, the small garbage guy. He's in like everything. Like the Terminator, Gremlins, The Howling, Small Soldiers, Chopping Mall. Like there's a bunch. He's just always a random character, and it's so awesome. He's such like whenever you see him or hear his voice, it's so like, oh, Dick Miller, love you.
I do. That was a great scene too with the garbage when they just like jump in the garbage truck. Like I love how all of this talking about like the cul-de-sac. They're like that those people wouldn't be able to see them outside with their night scope. And then they were like, we can't go through the garbage now. It'll be too noticeable. We'll do it in the morning. And then in the morning, they're like in the garbage truck, pouring it out. Like, that's not like.
Get out of the truck, man! Are you nuts? Hey, it's gotta be in here somewhere.
The Supreme Court ruled that a person's garbage is public domain the minute it hits the curb.
Shut up! You guys pick up a hefty bag out of that yard that was bulky and probably a little bit moist. What the hell is wrong with these people?
He has a right to know, Vic.
Don't start up with me.
This huge scene.
And then they left it there. It was just lying there the entire movie.
It literally was. And it was actually, that was like good attention to detail because cars kept driving over the garbage.
Yeah.
Like, throughout. I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. Yeah, I know. Like, take care of your street more. Come on.
Seriously. Yeah, but overall, great movie. So should we do some ratings?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's,
Yeah, I'll go 8.5 sardines. I enjoyed this movie. I gotta put it a little higher than Spider-Man 3.
That's the golden rule.
Yeah, it's the measuring stick against which I rate movies.
Oh, and this is tough. I'm gonna go like 7.5 sardines. 7.5.
Hey, cool.
Love it.
Love it. Oh, jinx. I'm gonna go 9 sardines. Just because it's nostalgic.
Why not a 10?
Wish there was more horror. Come on.
Not
Okay,
dark
fair
enough.
enough.
Not dark enough. But
9 sardines with a pretzel.
Not exactly 9 sardines with a pretzel.
Yes.
And so for me, it's like, as a horror fan, I don't really like horror comedies or comedy horrors. I'm not a huge comedy horror mixture. Not good for me. Not a fan. But this does it really well. A lot of times they don't know how to blend the two. It's like almost like they're trying to be funny, but then it doesn't come off funny, and they're trying to be scary, but it's like they both fall flat because they're trying too much. This one I think is a good balance.
I think it actually hits, at least to me, it hits more as a comedy than it does. Like the story is kind of like a horror story, but I feel like the comedy is much more like upfront than trying to actually scare you, which like I compare that to like a scary movie or anything that's like, it's totally like a satire movie, but and it's making fun of other movies that are trying to be scary, but I don't know. I agree. I think this one hit really well. Whereas some of the other ones feel like a little corny, cheesy. I don't know.
That's why it's labeled a comedy horror and not a horror comedy. Like Evil Dead
matters.
Evil Dead is like a horror comedy because it's horror first and then comedy. But this is comedy first and horror second.
Yeah.
I like the term too dark comedy.
Yeah.
Because I like agree with everything both of you were saying, how like it's kind of like it's still a good funny movie. It's just the plot has a dark part of it.
Right.
Versus like a movie that's scary but trying to throw one-liners in it, and you're like, oh wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What? It doesn't try too hard, which is what I like about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Well, we do have a couple responses.
Oh, right.
So let's read that. They're pretty brief, but I'm gonna read them anyway because they're
Get into it. Yeah, love it.
So this account on Instagram called Hollywood in Real Life. I don't know your first name, so I apologize. But I'm gonna read what he sent me. So he said, "This is a semi-tough watch for me. My dad really loved this movie, as did I, and ever since we saw it opening night in theaters, whenever he brought home pizza, he'd announce his return with, 'The pizza dude is here.' As a kid, I thought it was ridiculous and silly, but loved it. And now, as an adult, I see it as such a cool thing that my dad picked up on such a random line in the movie and made it his. Watching this movie really makes me miss him." That's very nice.
That was very nice.
It is the cool thing about, I mean, movies for a lot of people and like in different things is like even saying how like this is a childhood movie for you and like your dad and like Bowfinger and all these things. They're great movies, but it's like we love them because they're like attached to
right
when we saw them, and like the people we saw them with.
Right. And I would like responded right away because I was like, literally, that's like the same story. Like I grew up watching this movie. Like me and my dad quoted this movie like constantly. So I totally understand where that's coming from for sure. But and then
that's why it's such a cool art form is people can link into
right.
it. It's a nostalgic thing. It's awesome.
And it's all subjective too. Like, someone could hate it and you're like, but I still love it for this reason.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then Nick, my friend Nick the rapper, he said, "Dude, scared the shit out of me as a little kid. Just researched it like last year or year before. Spooky ass movie." Good job.
Tell Nick next time he submits something, I want it in the in a freestyle though.
Oh,
I want him to freestyle
do that. He
audio submission.
I'm definitely gonna do that. He's 100% down for that. Cool. And then sweet. You guys want to talk about some movie news? Entertainment news?
Mighty Ducks.
Ooh, yes. First episode. Have not watched it yet. We should do a live viewing party.
I think we should.
I think that'd be fun.
I've been seeing the previews for it, and I'm actually excited.
I haven't really watched any. I watched the first trailer like once, but
I'm curious to see how it is. But like, that one kid who in the preview his line is like, yeah, I don't think I'd be much physical help. I have more of a podcast body. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be like how we've talked about in the past, like too anchored in this time period or not.
Right.
But that kid, I feel like from the preview, I'm like, oh, I'm going to love this kid. Like,
We
feel
should
like
do
it's
it.
going to be good.
We should watch it. We should do it soon, this week or something, or tonight. I don't know.
We're like right
Find
now,
out.
or like we.
We'll find it. out.
The Mighty Ducks. Yeah, I actually, I think I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, but a fan bought Buffalo Bill's house from Silence of the Lambs, and they're working really hard to open it for people. And we actually did an Instagram live yesterday, which I attended, and they gave us a tour of the whole house and everything. And it was super cool. And they showed like where everything was shot and where we're going to stay and all the animatronic stuff they have, all this, they're like building it up. Like it's just these two people and they're big Silence of the Lambs fans, and pretty cool. So I think hopefully we can stay pretty soon. I don't know when they're going to open, but definitely hit that up when it's open.
I was going to say, in the word choice you used, you were like, they showed us this and they showed us where we're going to stay.
Yeah, super cool. In the basement, they're going to have they're going to set up like a disco ball and like the sewing station and everything. So it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I wish maybe that's going back to Joe's idea. You do the development, but as like they're all Airbnbs.
That would be really cool, actually.
And you have to interact with your neighbors.
Yeah, it's like a murder mystery.
Oh,
Not necessarily, but it's like you have to play this role for a week though. It's like a vacation immersive experience.
Man, we are coming up with some genius ideas right now.
We could have a offshoot of Onset called On Vacation.
It's pretty good.
Wow. Well, Joe is currently in the market of buying a plot of land. So Joe, I think you should invest in this instead.
Yeah, let's just make it themed. We'll make it some forest themed one first.
So fun. That's a cool idea.
Instead of the Burbs, we'll call it the Woods.
The Woods.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Do Blair
Strangers themed.
Strangers. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That'd be fun.
You stay here. We're going to break in at some point.
Wearing masks.
A complete experience. The one other thing, movie news, is like pulling through all the Oscar nominations. We watched Judas and the Black Messiah not too long ago, and I really liked that. I really want. I mean, we talked about this last week, but we watched Nomadland. I really want to watch Minari.
Yes, me too.
I watched.
Yeah, Jesse.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was really good. It's one of those kind of like Nomadland, where it's just like a great little story in and out, but definitely worth watching. I think I'd mentioned before because I had watched The Kid on Jimmy Kimmel, which is like a clip worth watching. But like, it's just good. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on trying to watch that before the Oscars. But
I like going back to Judas. I love Deanna Kaluuya. He's so good. And the other guy, Lakeith, he was the guy in Knives Out. Like he was the cop in Knives Out. I really like him. Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that one. That one's like.
Have either of you seen Mank?
No.
That's the one I like totally forgot about, and then it's all over, and I'm like,
I never even heard of it until the
I was
World
like,
came out.
Like,
but I was like, this is right on my alley though, because I love Citizen Kane. Like I'm all about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I gotta watch that one though. There's so many, but Promising Young Woman is still my favorite out of the nominations, I think.
Oh.
Speaking of cops, though, from like the guy who was also in, you know where I'm going with this, Joe? It's finally happening. I'm gonna pick Hot Fuzz for next week.
Oh,
I knew it.
I was like, where are we going with this?
I knew when you said cop, I was like, yep.
I forgot. Yeah.
You mentioned cop, and I was like, oh, there's the transition point.
There it is.
There it is. It always happens.
It always happens. Try to make it organic, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
You go fishing for that transition point, it'll bite. It'll bite.
But I am pumped because literally this is my favorite movie of all time. So I'm very excited.
And we have some locations in the app, so we can talk about those.
Love it.
I'd like some submissions. Again, Nick, a Hot Fuzz rap.
I'm sure he'd be down. Maybe he could do a little rap for our opening.
We have him freestyle a rap intro, but it actually just goes 30 minutes, and we're like, And then it ends and we're like, "Ah, that's all the time we have." All right.
Or we write all of our reviews down and he wraps the reviews.
Ooh. I'm into all these.
And we just sit here while we play the audio.
We just release an album every time.
Be pretty impressive, actually. Cool. Hot Fuzz, I'm stoked. I literally have only seen this once and it was a while ago. So
this is I'm excited to hear what you guys think, especially for a second time, because this is something that I could watch over and over and over again and pick up something new every single time. So I'm pumped.
Cool.
I'm excited because every time I search for like best comedies and this, Hot Fuzz always pops up, as like a cult classic or like a cult favorite. Like
yeah.
And the only time I've seen it is part of it, I believe, in when we were eating in East Burn.
Oh my!
And it was like they were playing it on a projector, and you were like, "Are you guys playing Hot Fuzz?"
So good.
Do you guys like? I mean, Joe probably. Do you like other Edgar Wright stuff, or is it just like kind of this trilogy? Or
this trilogy, I enjoy. This one is by far and away my favorite.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't even like name a ton.
I mean, he did like Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim.
I liked Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, The World's End. I mean,
yeah, I those were fun ones, but it's not something I probably would watch like over and over and over again, like this one. But I do like his style of movie, and like I feel like they're well written, well said, and well executed. So that's but I think this is by far and away the best one. So
he actually wrote a script for Ant-Man. He was supposed to be the original Ant-Man director.
I do remember that. I was sad that didn't happen.
So who knows, maybe in the future.
Hopefully.
Oh, I guess movie news. Another thing. The Suicide Squad trailer came out, the new one, the James Gunn version.
Pete Davidson I saw was in it. That's all. That's the only reason I actually saw it came out, was people obsessing over
that.
It
actually makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have no expectations whatsoever, but also James Gunn did the Guardians movies, so I'm sure that's in good hands. But who knows? I don't
James
know.
Gunn was the pioneer of that like awkward superhero comedy. So yeah, he'll probably handle it well.
Yeah, but who knows? I don't know. I'm kind of over superhero stuff, so
It's a lot of it.
Been for a while. But anything Joker related, I'm bad at.
That's true.
Even though he's not in this, but whatever. Cool. I think that's it, right? Anything else you guys want to say? Or any last
You're looking
thoughts?
to burn 4 hours. Speaking of being over superhero movies, the Snyder cut of Justice League is very, very long.
Very long. It's basically watching like you're about to play a game like StarCraft, and it's basically the intro video, but 4 hours.
It's so long, and it's not. I don't know. I didn't love it, but
oh, you watched it?
I did watch it, but it was
it's just.
I like looked at the clock and it was like 1 a.m. I'm like, oh my God.
I can't even imagine. I feel like this is like, like marathon running of movies where you like hit 10 miles and you're like, I still have 16 miles. You hit 2 hours in a movie and you're like, I still have 2 hours.
Yeah, sometimes 2 hours is long enough.
That's really the whole genre of marathon movies, is movies that are so long you literally could run a marathon in the duration.
Well, that's what I did when I ran mine. I put on Donnie Darko. What I do is like, I like to, when I did it, my DC one, I like to try to time it up, where I'm at in the movie, I should be at mileage wise. And then you have to pick a good movie with a good soundtrack. Donnie Darko. I should have done Rocky. I don't know why I didn't do Rocky, but it's kind of cool. You hear the dialogue and then you're like, oh, I'm like 20 minutes in. I should be at this part of my run. It's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
If you ever do marathon.
Philadelphia Marathon with the Rocky. I'm just saying you should plan it.
All right.
Got to do it.
I'll wear my robe that Joe got me with the gloves. I'm running a marathon.
I am so into. I know we talked about this for like the Portland one, like I'll dress up as the kid from It and you'll dress up as Pennywise and just chase me the whole marathon. I'm all into this dress up as characters. Yeah.
Next marathon, I definitely want to dress up. That would be so fun. Like specific to the city, maybe even, or like whatever, like I don't know, some kind of theme.
That'd be fun.
Mhm.
Love it.
Cool. That wraps it up.
Quiet on set.